Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Sam and I am so excited to be sitting down, filming, chatting with you about books today. I apologize for missing last week's upload. I have been trying to get over an eye infection for like a week and a half, so really couldn't do much of anything. Very annoying, very excited to be back filming, reading, doing all the things that I love and I'm excited about. So in today's video, I wanted to do my February reading wrap up of all the books that I read in February. We are almost halfway through March now, so it has been quite a while since I have read some of these. So fingers crossed I can even remember what these books are about, even with my notes. That's enough chitty chatting. I had a very successful reading month in February. Nothing that was like 5 stars or anything. Nothing that I was completely obsessed with, but just I read so much. So I ended up reading 14 books in February. Wild. And let's just chat about them. So the first book that I ended up finishing off in February was a buddy read with bestie Emily, and we read Hexed by Emily McIntyre. This is the last book in the Never After novels, and this was a Little Mermaid retelling. I was really excited for this book with all of the promotion and everything that Emily McIntyre did for this. Just sounded like it was going to be right up my alley, and unfortunately I rated it 2 stars. I really don't know how to explain this book. Essentially we're following Vanessa, who is the cousin and niece of like the head of this like mafia-esque family, and her cousin is engaged to our male main character, who is part of another crime family in New York. And so I just really could not root for our couple at all. Yeah, I just really did not vibe with this book. I found that it was pretty slow, like there wasn't really much going on. And although there was some sections that were intriguing to me, overall, like it was just like very predictable. The references to The Little Mermaid were very on the nose, and I really absolutely hated the third act conflict. So unfortunately, this was not for me. The series really has been a hit or miss series for me. I am still intrigued to read her Sugar Lake series, but yeah, unfortunately, this one just really did not work. Next, I read Pucking Sweet by Emily Rath. This is the third like actual full-length book in the Jacksonville Rays series. This is a hockey romance. It's just so much fun. I absolutely love this series. I love this hockey team, just the banter and friendships that are in this team overall was just so much fun. This book does take place over the course of the other 2 books as well. So there were some times I was trying to figure out like what else was happening, and I finally just detached myself from that and just read the story for what it was, and ended up having a bit more of a good time. I did end up rating this 4 stars, and one of the, I guess, main issues that I had with this book is there's this very specific scene that you get to see in book 2 of this series that I was kind of just waiting to happen, and I feel like if it happened earlier in the book and then like figuring out their relationship after that fact would have worked out better, because obviously having this scene ahead of time, you know how it's gonna end, or like you know what's coming. You're just kind of waiting for it to happen. So that was my really big critique. I do also feel like the story was a bit surface level, like it was trying to talk about some deeper issues, but we didn't really get like deep into the characters and who they were and why they might have felt or acted the way that they did. So I do wish we got a little bit more of that, but overall had a fantastic time. Love these characters, love this hockey team. I had a great reading experience. Next book that I read was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. I ended up rating this 3 stars. This book also was in a reading vlog that I did, so if you want more live thoughts, I'll have that linked. I enjoyed this one. This one was very difficult for me to understand like who the target audience was. The first third to half of this book was when our characters first met, when they were each on a respective family trip to, I think it was London, and we got a lot of their initial meeting and like bonding over this trip. And they were just 18, so it felt very young, and that tone kind of carried throughout the rest of the book when we see the characters interacting again for the first time like 14 years later. And that chunk of time I felt like was a very pivotal moment in their lives, so we didn't get to see any of their growth or healing in that section, and I just really did not feel the characters' connection because of that, and again felt very surface level. This does include like a movie scene and like acting and stuff, so the mixed media of the screenplay, scripts, whatever, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoy when there's mixed media in books. But yeah, this was just okay. I'm glad that I read it, but it kind of was what it was. Next, I read What's Left of Me by Hannah Bird. This is book 2 in the Loveless series. I'm not sure if this is a completed series or if it's just a duology, but I ended up rating this one 4 stars. In this book, we're following the best friend to our main character in book 1, Zoe, and we kind of see her relationship a bit in book 1. So I was very intrigued to see what was going to come out of this, and the trauma and things that Zoe has to deal with in this book were so painful, but like I could not stop reading. It felt very realistic to what I'm sure a lot of people unfortunately go through. My only complaint was that I feel like we didn't get enough of Zoe's healing journey. I wish we got like another chapter or something to see like how she was gonna progress from here. And also there was a hint of a like mystery to this book as well, and I feel like that just wrapped up a little bit too quick for me as well. Overall, really enjoyed this duology, and I'm very excited to read more of Hannah Bird's books. Next, I ended up listening to Emily Bishop's memoir, The Third Gilmore Girl, and absolutely love the Gilmore Girls. I watched it a few times, and listening to Emily Bishop's whole life just gave me a whole new appreciation for Emily Gilmore in the show, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. I thought that it was put together very well. Obviously, I'm not rating her life experience at all. When I rate memoirs, I rate them for like the production of it, I guess, the way that it's written. And I think this one flowed pretty well. There was some instances where she would refer back to previous shows or things that she did that was a bit confusing for me, not knowing what she was necessarily talking about. Overall, I just had a great time. I've really been enjoying listening to memoirs the last couple months, especially when it's narrated by the author of the person that it is about. Don't have too much to say about this one, but if you do enjoy the Gilmore Girls, I would highly recommend. Next, I ended up reading God of Malice by Rena Kent, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. This really started something this month. This book really just drops you right into the story where chapter 1 hit the ground running. And again, I don't really know what to say about this one because I don't want to spoil anything, but essentially this series, we're following children of characters from Rena Kent's previous books, and they are going to like one of 2 schools on this like island or something in the UK. There's one school that is pretty much solely British students, and the other one is mostly American students, I believe. So there's kind of a divide. There's a lot of like mafia elements, very dark secret society shenanigans going on, and our male main character in this book is a literal psychopath, does not care about anyone else, and just it was so addicting. I did feel like the middle kind of slowed down a little bit, but I just did not want to put it down. It's so dark and I just want to know what else is going on. I do feel like the side plot of the book wasn't quite enough. There was like a little sprinkle of information that I wish we got more of, like more of the discovery of what actually was going on. And I wonder if maybe it's going to come into play later. I'm really not sure. But this book just really made me want to go back and read everything else that Rena Kent did, because there was a lot of mentions of things that happened to the parents, not in a descriptive sense whatsoever, but just references that this reminds them of something that happened with somebody that they know, and I want to know. So had a great time with that one. Next, I read Love in the Time of Conversation Hearts by Ali Samberts and Hannah Bird. This is like a Valentine's Day novella, and I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one, but I cannot for the life of me remember anything that happened in this book. But I do know that I had a great time with it, and the relationship and plot was really strong considering the length. I think that it was right around 100 pages, 150 pages, something like that. I did read this on the way up to visit family, so it was kind of a blur, honestly. Very cute. If you haven't read it, would recommend reading it for next Valentine's Day. And I think that this is going to be a series, so I'm definitely intrigued to read more from them. Next, I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. I thought this was cute. The background plot was a little strange, but the relationship was really sweet. In this one, our 2 main characters live in these like townhouse apartment building sort of things, and the landlord is having construction done, and the crew accidentally removes the staircase on the wrong unit. So our main characters are kind of stuck in their houses while this gets corrected. And it was just really sweet. The bond that they create was really cute, but like I said, the secondary plot was strange just for the overall tone of the book. But I had a great time. Again, this was only like somewhere between 80 and 150 pages. I can't remember how long each one of them was, but I thought it was sweet. It was a fun, quick read for Valentine's Day. Next book that I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I ended up rating this 3 stars. I definitely went into this with the wrong expectations. I thought this was, I don't know what I thought this was, but this was more of a like sci-fi book, and it was very quick to read and very thought-provoking. It was just very different to what I expected it to be, and ended up being hard to follow because of it, but that was partially my own fault. I think it was an interesting read and a beneficial read with being a banned book. Next, I ended up diving back into the Renaverse and just decided that I'm going to put a pause on the Legacy of God series and go back to the beginning. I ended up choosing her alternative reading order, which starts with the Mafia books. So I ended up reading Throne of Power, which is the Throne Duet book 1. In this one, we are following Rai, who is part of this mafia family and ends up having an arranged marriage to protect somebody else, and also to try to get more power for herself. The relationship felt very fast. It was very bingeable, but there wasn't much else going on. I ended up rating this 3 stars. I really enjoyed my reading experience, but I wanted more plot, and their relationship was very physical, borderline concerning. Like, it was very much dubious consent. So because of that, I never really felt their connection, and our two main characters know each other from the past, and I wanted more of that reasoning or explanation of how they knew each other. But overall, like, I had a great reading experience, could not put it down, and was like first book of my like Reinaverse adventure, having put God of Malice on pause and just like really want to hit the ground running and just like binge everything. So that was fun. The next book that I ended up reading was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which I ended up rating 3.5 stars. I was really excited for this book, and this will also be in an upcoming reading vlog. So I'm not going to share too much about my thoughts, but I was really excited about this book. I feel like everyone loves Abby Jimenez's writing and this series, and I just kind of hated our main character. The beginning of this, I was having a great time. I thought the meet cute was so funny and adorable. We're following Alexis, who gets stuck in this small town and meets Daniel. And Alexis kind of has a horrible home life. I don't know. The story just felt very, very predictable to me, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. There was really no doubt in my mind that they were going to end up together. And I just, again, it was very surface level. It was very predictable. I feel like our characters never had a conversation about what they were doing, about anything. So I couldn't root for them because our characters were never on the same page. And it was just honestly really frustrating. So I'm going to leave it there. I am intrigued to read the next books and read more from Abby Jimenez, because I do really want to enjoy her books, but this one just unfortunately did not work out for me. Next, Emily and I ended up finishing another buddy read, which was Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is book 2 in the Kindred's Curse saga, and I ended up rating this 3 stars, and that was a little generous if I'm being honest. At the beginning of this, I was having a good time, but our main character, DM, is so infuriating. Like, nothing I've ever read before, and she just is making all of these horrible decisions. And I understand that she has kind of been thrown into this situation and has had secrets kept from her whole life, but the way that she is moving about this new role and taking on these responsibilities is just so ridiculous. And there's so many times that I feel like we were getting to be on the edge of having some information revealed, and then it just gets shut down or somebody's like distracts. It was just so cringy and frustrating and kind of just dragged, and it just so annoyed. There's also a plot point in this that I cannot for the life of me let go of, and because of this I cannot root for our main characters. For the people who like love this series and are obsessed with this series, how did you look past this and root for our main characters? Because currently they can't be together. The things that are happening should not be happening with the situation that we are in. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, 2 more books to go. The 13th book that I read this month was Throne of Vengeance by Rena Kent. I continued on my Rena verse journey and wrapped up the Throne duet. I ended up rating this 3 stars as well. Again, I had a great time reading this, just like very much in my dark romance Rena Kent vibes right now. I feel like the plot was better. There was more plot, but the pacing was kind of weird. Kyle, our male main character, did very unforgivable things. Again, there was some like clear, dubious consent that really towed that line. And I just could never really feel the connection between our 2 main characters. So yeah, had a great time, but definitely not my favorite. And then I started I think this is the Deception series. So this first book is Dark Deception, which is just a very short novella, which I think was 80 pages, if that. I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. In this one, we're following another one of the like mafia heads from the Throne Duet named Adrian. And this was just a tease, if I'm being honest. I don't really know where this lies in terms of the like events of the Throne Duet. And I was just left with so many questions, and I was really hoping that I could read technically book 1 in this series very soon, but obviously I had to take a hiatus because of my eyeball. But yeah, I just very intrigued. I ended up rating this 3.5 stars. Very quick, just like the very beginning intro to these characters' connections, and I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen next. But that is everything that I read in February. I feel like none of that was coherent, and I apologize for that, but I did really want to film this, get it edited and uploaded for you guys. Really want to make sure that I have my monthly wrap-ups sometime during the month uploaded. Although I didn't have any super highly rated books, I had a great reading month and just had the best time. So let me know down below what your favorite book that you read in February was. I would love to chat with you. I really hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.